Welcome to Turning Point Toastmasters. My name is Rupinder, and I am proud and delighted to be your Sergeant at Arms for today. You're now inside the code of conduct of a Toastmasters meeting. As such, a few rules apply to you. Please be apprised of the same. I will begin by reciting the Toastmasters Club mission statement. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Here are the meeting rules. Audience, please be apprised that any behavior that disturbs the flow of the meeting will result in immediate removal without assigning any reason whatsoever. Please ensure that your noise-making devices, such as your cell phones, your laptops, possibly your kids, are kept on silent mode, although I'll make an exception for the young cavaliers. Please speak responsibly around religion, politics, and sex as far as possible. Keep your videos on, your audio off, and applause flowing throughout, whether it is physical or whether it is virtual, using the emoticons. For example, I just clap for myself. Role players, whenever you are handing over, please ensure a smart audio video check. So today there's going to be a lot of that. So just ensure that the person who's about to speak, is audible and visible. Please rename yourself as role player hyphen your name hyphen your club name. You may omit the club name if you are a member of Turning Point Toastmasters. Please, so today we will have timers, different timers. Just we will ask the timers whether they are using background change, whether they'll be sharing the screen. So just acquaint yourself with the role of the timer. Green means that you've reached the minimum qualifying time. Yellow means that it's a good time to start to wrap up. And red indicates that you've got 30 seconds more or you will be disqualified. Individual session timings will be explained in due time. Today, we are not going to have certificates as such. So there is no challenge of disqualification. Still stick to the timing line, to the timing constraints. We encourage you to use Zoom emoticons generously in order to encourage our participants. Thank you, whosoever gave me a thumbs up that I'm doing a good job. Oh, it was me myself. Thank you. We sincerely request you not to send chat messages to everyone, or especially to the speaker on stage. In fact, refrain from chatting altogether. Focus on the speaker. Reiterating, please stay on mute until specifically requested to unmute. If I was to summarize these rules, it would be a very simple and a single statement. Be the kind of audience you want for yourself. That is videos on, audios off, ears wide open. I would now like to introduce the presiding officer, who comes from a field that I am totally unfamiliar with, and that field is accountancy. Now, here is the thing. I'm actually a mathematician by profession. So accountancy should come to me like a fish takes to water. Unfortunately, that is not the case. I would have been a certified postgraduate diploma in computer applications had I cleared an accountancy paper 6 years ago. Now that time is gone. So I have a huge respect for anyone who answers to the trade of chartered accountants. And one such person is our presiding officer, who is a chartered accountant, who recently, not very long ago, conducted a meeting around chartered accountancy. And to be honest, he made me familiar with the subject more than any professor could have tried in their entire life. So with a huge round of applause, let us welcome and spotlight Toastmaster Madhav Upadhyay.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rupinder, for that great introduction. I don't know if I deserve that or not, but thank you for that. Now, I am your presiding officer for today, and I welcome you all to yet another exciting and amazing meeting of Turning Point Toastmasters. We have a festive season in India. Tomorrow we have a festival in India that is called Dasara. And we have a good big weekend as well. We have 3 days holidays now coming on our ways. And we have all of us joining. We have quite a few guests today joining all of us. Anahita Singh Ankit Kumar, Ray, Kirtiraj, who joined us a few meetings back as well. He gave a speech and that he did a great job there. And Pallavi, who is also a member of our sister club, Spirit Toastmasters Club. And we have our very regular guest, Diana, joining us back. I welcome you all. Please do stay till the end of the meeting. We'll be taking your feedback towards the end of the meeting. And we have quite a few guests, and we have a good reason for that. We have a great session by someone who is a veteran. To introduce that veteran, I can go on and to from being our club mentor to double distinguished Toastmaster to role model for many of us to VPPR of our club to being the district level finalist in the evaluation speech contest. But what stands out for me is that he never shies away from calling a spade a spade. Please welcome with a big round of applause our very own distinguished Toastmaster Rupinder Singh. Rupinder Singh, over to you.
Thank you very much. They say that feedback is the breakfast of champions. And the other day I got what I take as a compliment. They said Rupinder is the champion of Rupinder is the champion of breakfast, and that is
It looks like a Wi-Fi issue. He may take about 30 seconds in joining back. So Madhav, please take over till then.
Okay, I'll just try to connect with him. Yeah.
oh, okay. Wait a second. I'm just going to change my network. It said that my internet. So give me 1 minute. Okay. Where did you guys lose me exactly? What was the last thing I was saying?
Breakfast.
Okay, I'll start again then. It is said that feedback is the breakfast of champions, and one of the more charitable remarks about me is that Rupinder is the champion of breakfast. And coincidentally, it was during breakfast that I got this genius of an idea as to why not have a workshop around comprehensive evaluation, something that encompasses the key roles in evaluation, excluding the general evaluator. So here we are. Hopefully, this session will be helpful to you, whether you're taking part in an evaluation contest, whether you are evaluating a speech, more importantly, whether you want to know how to give and receive feedback. Toastmaster skills are nothing if we do not apply them to our outside life. So I make it a point, whatever I learn here, I apply it outside. Hopefully, you'll walk away with something that is useful by the end of the session. So starting off, why is feedback difficult? In order to answer that question, here are the three types of feedback that I get. People will walk up to me and say, Rupinder, that was a wonderful session. When I'm out of earshot, they'll probably say, huh, what was that session about? And when I'm not there, they'll probably say, ah, that was a horrible session. So what a wonderful session. What was it about? That was a horrible session. What do you think these three are? What do you think these three statements are? I'll give you 10 seconds to answer before I move on. What do you think these three statements are?
Opinions.
Opinions or judgments. And you will agree that everyone in this world has an opinion. Even that younger Anand sitting in the bigger Anand's lap has an opinion, which he will indicate by laughing, by crying. If he has to get his way around, he will get his way around. It's that he has an opinion, and everyone has an opinion. Opinions, when properly channeled, can become effective evaluations. But How do we properly channel our opinions? The answer lies in our club mission statement, which says that we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop their communication skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. The words supportive and positive, in those two words lies the essence of an effective evaluation. Here is a surprising thing for everyone. We all think we know how to give feedback. Thing is, we don't even know how to get a commendation right. A few of us do, a lot of us do not. Because a lot of our what we think are is feedback is actually just an opinion. For example, if you were to come over to my house for food and I can make awesome food, you would eat it and you would say, oh, this was awesome. What is it? It is an opinion. It is an observation. And many times our commendation stops at the observation. We do not go to the next step. So before I explain to you how to evaluate a speech, let me educate you on how to comment properly. A true commendation has 3 steps. The first one obviously is the observation. Most of us, we stop at the observation. We'll look at Anand's kid and we'll go, oh, how cute. We'll look at Anahita gave a table topic and wonderful table topic. We'll look at Diana gave a comprehensive R-counter report. I wish I could do that. A commendation has 3 parts. The first part is your observation. The second part, you want to give an example of that observation. What is it that you actually liked while you were listening to a speech, while you were watching a movie, when you went to a restaurant, when you tried out a new dish? What is it that you actually liked? That example. And finally, what is the value you got out of it? Understand this thing, that the word evaluation contains the word value, and that is central to the act of evaluating, whether you're giving a commendation, whether you're giving a recommendation. When you are giving a commendation, you are telling the person what is the value you as a listener or the recipient of the knowledge got out of that person. And when you are giving a recommendation, you are telling the person what is the value that person can take from you. This trade of values that is given is called evaluation. But let's go back to our commendations. So I went to a restaurant last night and I had amazing food. This is an anyone? What is this? 10 seconds.
Commendation.
This is an observation.
Observation.
I just made an observation. That's it. You don't know what restaurant it was. You don't know why I'm saying this. Now I'll come to the example. I tried out the butter chicken there and it is out of this world. Now I'm giving an example. Now, if you like butter chicken, you will see the value of going to that restaurant. Okay. Next time I go there, I am taking my family with myself. This is the impact. And that is the third stage of your commendation. I personally tried this out with a group of people. 90% of us stop at observations. 50% went to giving an example. Only 10% talked about the impact it had on them. Now, there is this person, he's in Phoenix Toastmasters Club. His name is Sachin Gulati. He's a VP PR and he makes awesome posters. Okay. The best part about his posters is that they embody minimalism. Small body of text, lots of white space around. Something like our friend Ray sitting over here. Lots of blue space around him and him sitting in the center being it reminds you of an Apple store when you go there. So right now what I'm doing is I'm giving you an example. I'm comparing his designs to an Apple store. And one day I reached out to him and I said, Sachin, I wish I could design posters like you. That is the impact. A lot of us do not go to the stage called impact. And if we do that, we are telling the person how that person is valued. And that is how you give a commendation. Now, when it comes to recommendations, again, there are these three steps. You give an observation, you give an example, you give an impact. There's one more step, I'll come to that. But before that, I have been in the business of customer satisfaction. I supported and trained a team on customer satisfaction. There was one ratio that I learned, and that is 1:26. What that says is that for every one wrong experience that you give to your customer, you have to follow it up with approximately 26 correct experiences for that person to forget about that one. So when you are giving a recommendation, you have to structure it so that the person has a buy-in to your recommendations. So obviously the first step is observation. Now I'll go by an example and I'll choose the most unfortunate person in this meeting, and that is Anant Katyayani. Why is he unfortunate? Because there's a hypothetical scenario where I'm reporting into Anant. He will literally pray to all the 360 million gods and goddesses that never happens. But let's say that I'm reporting into him and I'm supposed to be in office at around 9 o'clock, at 9 o'clock dot. Being the lazy, lethargic person that I am, I choose my own time of coming. Sometimes I come in at 9:15, sometimes I come in at 9:20. One day I came in at 8:50, and then today I came in at 9:45. When you are observing, and I've seen this happen many times, people simply say, Rupinder, you are always late. What is the one word in this statement that is causing a problem? Can anyone tell me?
Always.
Always. Why? What is going to happen is that when you say, Rupinder, you are always late, I'm going to pick up that one instance where I came in at 8:50 and I'm going to turn it around on you. I'm going to tell Anant, look, Anant, you say I'm always late. That day I came in at 8:50. You were not here. Madhav was not here. Ray was not here. Naveen was not here. Why are you picking on me? In that one statement, I have inverted the whole scenario. Now, if Anant was to start with an observation that was objective, which is, Rupinder, I hope everything is all right because you are not coming to office on time. First, connect. Now comes the examples. Yesterday, you came in at 8:50. Great job. But today you are in at 9:45. Day before yesterday, you were in at 9:20. And the day before that, you were there at 9:15. Irrefutable data points that I cannot contest. It is right there. And now Anant comes up with the impact. Rupinder, when you come in late, our stand-up meeting gets delayed. And because of that, everyone's work gets pushed. Now Rupinder is going to feel part of something bigger. Now, if this was not a Toastmasters environment, the next step would be to ask, how can I help you be on time? How can we work on this together? But if you are in a Toastmasters environment, You will tell them the way forward, which is the most important step in giving a commendation. Can you try catching the 8 o'clock metro instead of the 8:20 metro that you take every day? Because on days that you take 8 o'clock metro, you are here well on time. What are you doing here? You're showing Rupinder the way out, the way forward. You're not evaluating to criticize. You are evaluating to improve. That is the most important part of a recommendation. And that will ensure that Rupinder does not make the same mistake again. Now, theoretically, this is simple. This is not rocket science. This is not worth having a session over. But practically, try evaluating a 5 to 7 minute speech and evaluating it according to these parameters. Now, one thing that I learned, and I learned it the hard way, is that in 2 to 3 minutes, when you are evaluating speeches, you can either give two recommendations, close with two commendations and summarize. Or you could give three recommendations and summarize. Whichever is the method you choose, please ensure that every commendation has an observation, impact, and an example. If you're taking notes, you don't need to. I have a PDF that I will be very happy to share with every one of you. When you are giving a recommendation, observation, example, impact, the way forward, 4 things. I have seen many evaluators when they're giving commendations, you were not maintaining correct eye contact. What if my recommendation could be that, Naveen, you had a challenge with eye contact, observation. Many times I saw you looking sideways or down as if you were reading. Examples. Maintaining a consistent eye contact ensures sincerity on part of the speaker. Impact. And then, Naveen, how about taking a post-it note, writing "look here" on it and sticking it right next to your camera? That way, you will never miss eye contact. Because every time you look to your screen, you will see that sticky note out there and you will look at that sticky note and you will look at the camera. What have I done? I have given Naveen a way forward, a quick fix. Now, sometimes you will not have a quick fix. Not everything is as simple to resolve as eye contact. Body language, for example. The more introvert of us will have closed body language. The extroverts will have open hand gestures. Now that is going to come over time. What is the one thing that you can tell them immediately to improve? That can help them going forward. That is the true impact of your recommendation. So 2 commendations, 2 recommendations, and 2 commendations, which is CRC, and followed by a summary. If you think that you've got more content, then go with 3 commendations, 3 recommendations, summarize. Now, when you're summarizing, how do you summarize? I take up the impact points from my commendations and the next steps from my recommendations, and I use them. Okay, so I summarize using them. So my summary would be, to summarize, Naveen, work on the body gestures, like I told you, work on the vocal varieties using the characters, for example, Love the way you connected with the audience. I love the voice modulation that you brought in. I loved your jokes. And I'm pretty sure that your next speech is going to be as enjoyable, if not more, as this one. Now, what have I done? I have shown him the way forward and I have told him what are the strong points. And that is how you close a speech evaluation. At this point, I'm going to transition into the tag roles, which is timer, counter, and grammarian. And I'll tell you one best practice that I employ, and maybe you can use that. But if anyone has any questions, I can take one question at this point. Anyone, any question? Now, if you don't have questions, Kirtiraj has a question and Ray has a question. I was going to say, if you don't have questions, I'm going to assume that you're going to use this method going forward. Clearly, that's not going to happen. Now, there are three people raising their hands. Kirtiraj raised it first. I'll give it to him. Ray and Khushbu, you can type in your questions. I'll answer them at a later stage. Kirtiraj.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Rupinder. My query is, when we give any commendation and then recommendation and then again commendation and the summary kind of aspect, if it is 2, 2 and 2, so how to have a good transition between the next level of commendation where we are bringing that closure after a recommendation and then summarize, because it should not happen
Great.
that
So your question, so
Yeah.
I'm being quick because I have to move on. Your question essentially is, how do we transition? Right? My question, my answer to that is how not to transition. And this is a challenge for every evaluator. Do not use but, do not use although, do not use however. Because anything that comes before the but is going to be meaningless and people will stop listening after but. Trust me, I've been at the receiving end of feedback, and every time people have gone, Rupinder, you did a good job, but I stopped listening after the but. Okay. So when you transition, what is the best way to transition? What I typically do is I start with giving them one thing that I absolutely love, or maybe I take a quote from their evaluation. Then I tell you, let me tell you what else did I like. My transition statement typically is that this was what I liked. Let's see where we can improve. Or what can, how can we make the speech better? And then I say, coming back to what I actually liked, and I include summarizing. I include the word summarizing because it's more a reflection on the judging criteria, the kind of training we have for judges. Unless and until you do not mention summarizing or concluding, some of the judges are going to miss out that you've started summarizing, and there are separate marks for summarizing in the evaluation speech contest. So make sure you have that word in there somewhere. Okay. So the one advice that I can give you, Kirtiraj, is do not use but or however. Try transitioning you without but, however, although, having said that, stuff like that. Anything that says that this was good, but anything that gives that impression. Okay. Now I will very quickly move on to the best, to some best practices as a timer, and then I'll possibly come back to some of the questions that we have. As a timer, what I do is the placement of the stopwatch. It is intuitive to have a stopwatch running in another version on your computer. I actually use a second device. So on my cell phone, I have installed the Toastmasters timer app. And what I do is that I have this mount. I keep my cell phone over here. As soon as the speech starts, I turn it on. It is telling me the seconds. It is also telling me the color of the card. Why am I doing that? Because it is difficult to keep a track of numbers on a screen. It is easier when the colors change. So what I do is that I keep it on. First, it shows me gray. As soon as it shows me green, I know that it is time to change. But because I'm a timer, I'm also keeping a watch on the time. So when it's 4 minutes, 45 seconds, I know that it is ready to, I'm ready to transition into green. So I use a secondary timing app on a secondary device, not on the same computer. Okay. So that's one thing that I do. As an R counter, one of the challenges that I see as an R counter is that the report kind of becomes mundane. I would like to see an analysis. I would like to see as to why a person is using too many R's. Why is a person using too many pauses? Usually when a person is using too many R's, it's because they are thinking while they are speaking. You'll see this in table topics a lot. My advice to them is that next time you feel like saying "ah," go quiet. Just say "one Mississippi" quietly inside your head, because one Mississippi is 1 second. And what is an "ah" will come across as a pause, which is much better than saying an "ah." So things like that. As a grammarian, now grammarians are often considered the villains of Toastmasters, because when you get a really good grammarian, they'll literally turn into a grammar teacher and they'll tell you where you went wrong with the tenses, where you went wrong with active voice, where you went wrong with the article usage. My suggestion, they will not be able to incorporate all of your suggestion at the end of one meeting. So I follow the 5-5-5 model. I go with 5 commendations, 5 recommendations, and 5 commendations. Now that does not mean that I'm looking for only 10 commendations and 5 recommendations. I write down all of them, but I pick the best 5 for the first session, then best 5 recommendations and the best 5 commendations. Think about it. Then, of course, there is the word of day usage. Some clubs in India, including ours, we have the grammarian as the word master also. So if somebody used the word of the day in the correct way, that will go into commendations. If they did not use it in the correct way, obviously it comes in the recommendations. If it was not used at all, it definitely comes in the recommendations. So those are some best practices that I follow. There are some best practices for general evaluator. I will talk about that once my general evaluator is done talking about me. Now we've got 5 minutes. I can take some questions. Ray, you raise your hand, so I can answer your question first.
Thank you, Rupinder. I think you've already answered this question or implied, but if someone wants to participate in an evaluation contest, what tips can you suggest for somebody who's about to go into an evaluation contest before they start the contest?
Okay. Apart from the suggestions that I gave, as contestants, we go in with the intent of making an impression. And that is the biggest mistake that we make. Go in with the intent of expressing yourself, of helping the person to improve. When you do that, you will speak more naturally. Your words will have more meaning. I have often seen people give recommendations about, let's say, body language. One of the most common recommendations is that you could have told the story here, you could have told the story here, you could have told the story here. Now, I'm not saying that is wrong, but the way you tell it, you come across as a person who already knows the answer. It's not an observation. It's something you saw, you decided, okay, body language, I'm going to use these words. It comes across as rehearsed. You don't want to come across as like that. You want to come across as natural. And the best way to do that is not to look to make an impression. but to express yourself. You're out here to make a difference, not to make an impression. I hope that answers your question to some extent, Ray.
Yes, it does. It gives me something to think about. Thanks.
Thank you. Khushbu, you had a question.
Yes, so my question is how to avoid repetition, how much to have repetition in the summary to keep ourselves in time, because summary is basically repeating the commendation and recommendation in gist. So what all exactly, like in short and crisp?
I will disagree. Summary is not repeating the commendation, recommendation. It is not. I simply take out the impact from the commendation and I take out the next steps from the recommendation. I simply say those in the summary. If I am going to summarize by saying everything that I've said before, then I'm making the same mistake that most evaluators make when they try to repeat the speech of the speaker. So essentially what they're doing is they're compressing a 5 to 7 minute speech inside a 2 to 3 minute speech. That is something you cannot do. And when you're summarizing, what you're doing is that in 30 seconds, you're summarizing what you've said for the past 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And that's something you cannot do. So look for those key points. The person should walk away. Okay, if I take this action, then I am going to have this benefit. Or today I made this kind of an impact on the audience. Okay, thank you. Hope that answers your question, Khushbu. I will go into Diana's question. I have a question of body language, the general meeting with speech better and eye contact will, how do I maintain eye contact with typing answers or table topics? Diana, a tough question. And that is something that I'll have to think about. I'll get back to you. So what I can tell you one thing, Diana, that I'm a member of Central Florida Facilitators. And our president is visually impaired. So what he does is that he actually checks before every speech that am I positioned correctly or not? Am I making eye contact or not? But to this particular case, I will get back to you, and that is a promise. I'll probably send you an email. Thank you very much. I've got time for one more question. Anyone else? Anahita, you sent a long, also when providing, should the evaluator speak on behalf of the audience or speak per their observation? The audience was engaged from the beginning. Again, it is perspective, Anahita. What are you intending to do? Do you think that the audience was engaged? Do you think you can speak with confidence that the audience was engaged from the beginning? If the answer is yes, then go ahead, say all that. Say that the audience felt engaged, the audience hung on to your every word and stuff like that. So there is nothing wrong with saying that. There is also a school of thought that says that when you're giving recommendations, you should talk about the speaker and you should not address the speaker directly. I have addressed a speaker directly in evaluation contests, and I found that it works. It depends on the kind of connect that you establish with the speaker. But when you're playing the role of a grammarian, at that point, because you're not addressing one speaker individually, at that point, I would say that when you're giving recommendations, go speak in third person. Say that one of the speakers said this, it should have been this, or can be better said as this. That answers your question. Okay. Khushbu, I'm going to lower your hand, or do you have any other question? Okay, great. Now what we're going to do is that we are going to transition into table topics. And the way that table topics are going to work is that Madhav is going to give a topic to someone. Okay. One of you is going to play the role of a timer. One of you is going to play the role of our counter. One of you is going to play the role of grammarian. All right. And one of you is going to play the role of the speech evaluator. How does the timing work? For table topics, it is it's 1 to 2 minutes, the regular time. For speech evaluation, you've got 1 minute to give the speech evaluation. I'm just looking for one commendation, one recommendation. I'm looking at whether you're following the structure or not. That's all that I'm looking at. Timer, I'm just asking you to read out the time. I'm just looking at how you're going to give out the disqualifications. If there is any disqualification. The same goes for R counter. Timer, R counter, grammarian. I'm expecting you to finish inside 2 minutes. So it's 2 minutes for the table topics, or 2 minutes 30 seconds maximum, 1 minute for evaluation, and 2 minutes combined for timer, R counter, and grammarian. Does that make sense? So we're going to take about, so it's about 5 minutes per speech. We've got time until 8:30. So we should be able to get somewhere around 8 or 9 speeches. Okay, Madhav, over to you. Assign a table topic. So do we have volunteers for a table topic speaker? Okay, Diana is going to speak first. So Madhav, what I would suggest is that you give Diana a topic, because she'll be typing it in. And until then, we'll move on to the next speaker. I want someone to play the, okay, who's going to be the next speaker? Anyone? Okay, we'll give it to Ray. Timer for Ray. Anyone who can take up timing for Ray? You'll get a chance to speak. Anyone who can take up timing for Ray? Otherwise, I'm going to call it out myself. Anaita, can you be timer for Ray?
Yeah, sure. I'll
Okay.
have to log in. I'll do that.
Yeah. Pallavi, can you be our counter? Pallavi, are you there?
I'm there, but I will not like to play the role today because I'm in my cab. I'm in cab.
Okay. Priyanka, can you take on our counter for Ray?
Yes, Rupinder. Only for one speaker, right?
Yeah. And then we'll shift over. Kirtiraj, you're doing grammarian.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Madhav, let's go.
It is, I'm gonna give the topic first to Diana, right?
Yeah. Just type in the
Okay,
topic for
so
Diana, and then we
okay.
can continue with Ray.
So I'll just first introduce you how topics are gonna be like. I'm going to give you a statement, and you will be speaking in favor of that statement and against the statement. I would advise you to speak at least for 1 minute for the, in favor, and 1 minute for against the topic, against the statement. That's up to you. You can, speak for lesser time for favor and more time for against. It's, or vice versa. So starting with Diana, I'm gonna ping the. Okay, or if you want, you can, like, it depends, however you want to speak on it. So starting with Diana, I am putting the table topic, and the table topic for you, Diana, is school uniforms are beneficial. School uniforms are beneficial. Diana, I'm gonna put it in chat as well. I think I should go with the topic to Ray. Ray, can you please unmute yourself?
Done.
Ray, alcohol drinking age should be decreased. Alcohol drinking age should be decreased. Ray.
Did you want me to proceed or?
Yeah, please go ahead with the topic.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Table Topics Master. The question is, should the alcohol drinking age be raised? On the one hand, it depends on the responsibility of all of us. Age is relative when it comes to that. There are people who are at that drinking age who are more responsible and mature, but there are others where we don't know if they're ever going to make that status of being mature. There I would have to say that it's a mixed bag, but I would be personally in favor of raising it. Maybe an extra day. I don't want to have anybody who just says, congratulations, let's go celebrate, you have reached your drinking age. No, I want to extend your birthday to an extra day so that we can go and celebrate then, and you can enjoy your birthday with everything else. And that way, you can enjoy yourself beyond your birthday and on with the rest of your life. Mr. Table Topics.
Okay, did we assign an evaluator to Ray? Okay, so Ray, overall, I liked the topic. I liked how you used pauses instead of giving into filler words, and that was very effective. What it also did was it brought a certain level of depth into your speech. I like that. I'm going to try to use pauses going forward, like the way you do. Where I think that we can slightly improve is that you kind of got caught unawares with the topic the moment that it was given to you. I could see that you were kind of uncomfortable at that point. What it does is that you get started a little too soon. How do you overcome this? What I do before my speeches is I take a deep breath. For example, when you dive into a swimming pool, you take the deep breath because you want as much air as possible. I also take a deep breath. What it does is that it makes me structure the topic inside my head. So work on that deep breath, and I will work on using your pauses. Okay. So observation, example, impact, observation, example, impact, and the way forward. Can we have a very quick timers report from Anahita?
Yeah, I was unable to share the screen. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to, but Ray's speech was 1 minute, 35 seconds.
Okay. Now, one of the mistakes that we make as a timer is we say that Ray's speech was 1 minute 35 seconds, he is qualified. Or Rupendra's speech was 2 minutes 35 seconds, he is disqualified. What I do as a timer is I simply say that we had some disqualifications. Ray spoke for 1 minute 35 seconds, Rupendra spoke for 2 minutes 35 seconds. And I leave it open to interpretation as to who was disqualified. So great job there, Anahita. Can I have a report from the R counter? It was Priyanka, I think.
Yes, Rupinder. Ray had 2 short pauses, and I would say he was very clear about it, because instead of using arms, he cleverly used short pauses, and I appreciate him to lessen them. But that was very clear. What is very clever approach. One of the filler word which I found in Ray's speech is and that he could improve on. And with that, I would say, otherwise the speech was really perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyanka. And finally, a report from the Grammarian, Kirtiraj. One commendation, one recommendation. I just want to see how you do that. That's it.
The speaker, Ray, today did a fantastic job with his speech, where he had a lot of vocabulary. There was a diversity in his speech. He touched upon aspects of responsibility, relativeness, maturity, and that too by vivid examples. I saw that the speaker used age, which is relative, and he also did explain us by the fact that alcohol consumption is where people who have reached that age are kind of rushing into the same, or people want to do a party just because of reaching that particular age. Maturity is something which came from his speech, and that's where I would like to say that yes, it was fantastic where we actually got this takeaway point that maturity is something which doesn't need to come just by age. For every good speaker, there is some area of improvement. And I felt that extending a birthday with an extra day instead of that, if the speaker could have used by an extra day, that would have been amazing because it is an addition to it. Overall, it was a great speech, Toastmaster A. Kudos and best wishes for your speeches moving forward.
Okay, so this is an example of where, so there was one commendation, one recommendation that was needed. Kirtiraj, what I would ask you to focus on is example with the observation, example, impact. You did give them, but there were like more examples than there were observations. So, for example, when Ray was speaking about certain words, he used this word. That's an example. The impact is could be I haven't heard that word in a while, or this word means this. It's an excellent word usage. Again, when you're giving recommendation, such and such a thing was said. This is the and this is how he can improve. Okay, this is how it can be said better. Summarizing what I'm saying, Kirtiraj, is just make it a little more succinct. As grammarians, we have this tendency to get carried away with our evaluations. Okay, so okay, now who are you choosing next? And this time we'll have a proper speech evaluator.
Okay, so does anyone nominate themselves, or would I need to pick someone?
You can
Anahita,
ask
would you
for
like to go?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so
Okay.
Anahita is giving a speech topic. Who's going to evaluate? Who's going to evaluate Anahita? Kirtiraj, can you evaluate Anahita?
Sure, DTM Rupinder.
Okay. Ray, can you be the R counter? I'll be the timer. Oh, sorry. Diana, you can be the R counter. I'll be the timer. Ray, can you be the grammarian?
I can be grammarian.
Okay. The speeches, the team is ready.
Okay.
Diana, you're our counter.
Anahita, rich people should pay more taxes. Rich people should pay more taxes, Anahita.
Well, well, well. Would you look at that? Do you see that? That's Jeff Bezos. Did you know Jeff Bezos happened to work at the same firm that I did for about a year or so? That's right. Jeff Bezos and I have been at the same place at a different time once in my life, once upon a time. That's right. He worked at a hedge fund and so did I. But the difference now between Jeff Bezos and me is not just indicated by the number of zeros that might be there in his bank account, but also with the fact that he runs a conglomerate, Amazon. Well, I also think that as someone who has managed to do so well in his life, he should also definitely give back to the planet. I mean, look at me. I do that. I'm not earning as much as he is, but at one point, we were both working at a hedge fund, and I continued to give back to such society during that time. I wonder, did he do the same then, or does he do the same now? This is a heated topic, a topic which has a lot of heated discussion around it. A lot of people believe that rich people should pay higher taxes, and I am of the same view. And the reason being that they definitely have more resources than the common person. And we know that there is so much inequality in the world out there. So they can do their bit by helping people instead of building rockets and going up to space. And for what? I think problems like world hunger, poverty can truly be solved if rich people actually paid higher taxes. So why not? They totally should do it. What's the difference between them and us then, right? Thank you, and over to you, TTM.
Okay. So Ray, you're up.
Thank you. Ania, forgive me for mispronouncing. I really enjoyed your table topic, and most importantly, you made it very difficult for me as a grammarian to pay attention, to try to find those little tidbits to help you improve. But I did find a couple. You mentioned the words Jeff Bezos and me. It is Jeff Bezos and I. It's a very common mistake in the English language, and with a compound subject or prepositional phrase, it's tough to think about that on the fly while you're speaking. But maybe what you can think about is you can practice in getting in a habit by just covering up one subject and then just say I and then the rest of the sentence, or just cover up the rest of the sentence to see what would work. It's just something you can think about practicing and getting into the habit. One one nothing else. You did very well. And I hope that my recommendation on practicing those complex subjects will help you from this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray, for that grammarian report. We already have the R counter report, and I'll tell you, Anaita, you took 1 minute and 55 seconds. Good enough time. It suggests that wait for the red card to come up. See if you can stretch it until then. Let us now ask Kirti Raj to provide his evaluation.
Sure, just a moment.
So I'll start the clock when you are ready, Kirti Raj.
Yeah,
1
sure.
minute, at 1 minute, I'll show the red card.
Yes.
You can start.
May I start?
Yep.
Okay. Everything which starts with some kind of great call to action, or anything which starts with catching the audience in awareness, that is something which lasts long. Today, Toastmaster Anahita, you started with something very beautiful. Want to know what? You started with a musical beginning for your table topics. And the cool part about that was, somewhere you took an example of well, and it became musical and it started ringing in the minds of people. That is where you hooked up your audience today. And the impact was, it made us more kind of wanting to know what's coming next. Second beautiful thing which I found in your speech today was, you actually used a person who is influential. That kind of connect which you established by the usage of Jeff Bezos and relating him with your own self, that was fantastic. Along with that, someone who runs a conglomerate and then giving back to the society, that was something which was very precious from your speech today. I felt that today you were actually like this and looking down, and that is something which speakers and Toastmasters should be cautious about. We look up to people. Yes, that is where maybe you could have adjusted your camera angle a bit up and looked up right into the screen instead of like this down, which at times scares people. That is something which could have even made people more comfortable because you were like this and engaging, right? Along with that, another recommendation which I have for you is, why not write? You rushed it a bit. Maybe if you could have taken some kind of pauses, why not? Right? People would have got at least few seconds to let that sink in. And the impact would have been, they would have had some kind of call to action after you asked them something. Yes? In summation, I would like to say you had a great speech today. You had an example which was shared, and the impact of that was that, yes, I personally felt that I have to contribute back to society. And that is something which is great, right? Another impact factor was that you actually made us all engaged through whatever tips and tricks you are sharing. So maybe I would like to try that out by my own self. I hope you would emerge even stronger by the small tips and tricks which I shared. Over to the topics master.
Okay, here is the thing, Ray. You've taken about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The thing is that you're supposed to give only one commendation, one recommendation. Why I'm saying one commendation, one recommendation, and I'm giving you a full minute for it. You want to practice a commendation and a recommendation inside a minute, because when you actually go to give a speech evaluation, you will see then that at that point you are able to incorporate 2C, 2R, 2C and summary. Okay, so which is why I am emphasizing 1 minute, one commendation, one recommendation. I'm looking at the structure. Also, do not call out, okay, this is the impact or this was the example. Okay, it might come across to a judge, it might come across, okay, you are following a structure, but because I was doing this module, it came across to me, okay, now what this person is doing is that he's actually trying to conform to a structure that I just spoke about. Okay. Okay. Madhav, you're on. Next one.
Okay, so Kirtiraj, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure.
Let's
Okay.
establish the evaluation team. Ray, can you evaluate the speech? 1 minute.
Yes.
Okay. Anahita, timer. Now you can share screen. Anahita,
Okay,
timer. We need an R counter. Madhav, R
Sorry.
counter.
Yes, okay, works.
And unique grammarian. Okay, just everyone, just one commendation, one recommendation. That's all that I'm looking for. Okay.
Kirtiraj, okay. The death penalty should be abolished. The death penalty should be abolished, Kirtiraj.
To kill someone is like taking away hopes. The world is already full of so much trauma. There are so many bad things already happening. Death penalty is one such bad, cruel thing. Every human has that potential to improvise. We are humans after all. To err is human, though to forgive is divine. Fellow Toastmasters, I strongly support this notion that death penalty should be abolished. Why? There are many people who have had trauma in their pasts. Maybe because of that, they are acting like that today. Maybe they would have been brainwashed in childhood that if you kill 10 people, you would go to heaven. They don't even know if that's right or wrong. That's their upbringing. That is where I personally feel that giving someone death penalty won't kill that demon, that mentality. Instead, if we just look at what are the things which are causing those kind of problems in the life of that particular person or that society or that segment, and then give a helping hand. Maybe like in this particular time, we have these nice fruits, right? Maybe if we just offer some kind of fruits in form of help, in form of something very tasty, which would make them understand that yes, life is also beautiful. Maybe that would turn the coin, turn the table, and they would actually go ahead to become people who will support each other, who would make our country proud. Fellow people in here, I feel that yes, death penalty should be abolished. Everyone deserves a second chance. Let's try our best and let's bring some kind of transformation. Maybe somebody would actually become the healer who was a criminal earlier. What do you think? Over to the topics master.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Evaluator.
Kirtiraj.
Speech evaluator.
Okay. Kitarash, I enjoyed your table topic very much. You opened up with a bit dramatic, a dramatic opening, that is, to get and grab our attention. You did that. And then you proceeded with your points why the death penalty should be abolished. It was not just an explanation, it was a call to action. I almost want to guess that you might have even selected the persuasive influence path from Pathways. You did, didn't you? Good, good. That's great. And the impact that you provided to us was everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves forgiveness. A call to action and getting the audience to respond. Namaste.
Great, excellent. Now let's have a report from the grammarian first.
Yeah, just a point of order. I just have to evaluate the speaker, not the evaluator, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, Kirtiraj, I think from a grammatical point of view, your speech was pretty much flawless. I liked the choice of words. I mean, there could be situations where we could have used more words to describe a certain things, but I think you used very pinpointed words like potential and many other examples which I'm not able to recall right now. So you did a good job in using more descriptive words rather than like using a sentence to explain a thing. Your single word did the job, so that is commendable. I don't see any stark grammatical errors in your speaking, so no recommendations from my side on that front. But yeah, it's always, we can all be more affluent speakers if we incorporate more words into our diction. So same for you, but no major stark error as I could see. Over to you.
Okay, so right now we had a situation where one of the evaluators did not have a recommendation as such. I usually keep a stock recommendation in such cases. So when a person gives a speech that I find to be flawless, where I cannot find a recommendation, I just say that, okay, make sure that your next speech is better than this one. So that is a recommendation that I go with, because today it was flawless. Make sure that the next speech is better than this one, in that you move from strength to strength. So that's some food for thought. Let's have a report from the R counter.
Kirtiraj, you took time to start, and that was, I think, to digest the topic. Post that, I couldn't notice any R's, ums, or filler word. I could just notice one filler word that was a very small, I was very focused, so I could notice it. I could ignore it as well. That was inevitable. Like when we speak, we do this. Otherwise, fluent speech. Kudos to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And just adding the timer to the spotlight. Just read out the time, please.
So Kirtiraj's speech was 2 minutes 23 seconds. The evaluator's speech was 1 minute 10 seconds. The grammarian spoke for about 55 seconds, and the R counter spoke for 22 seconds.
Okay, great, superb. All right, so I'm going to spotlight. Okay, I'm going to spotlight myself, and then I'm going to spotlight Madhav. We're ready for the next topic.
Okay, so I can see Unique. Would you like to go, Unique?
Sure.
So Unique, you get to speak on a topic. Who's going to evaluate Unique? Anahita, you want to have a go?
Sure.
All right, adding Anahita to the spotlight. All right. Anyone who wants to do an timing for Unique? Okay, I'm adding Ray to spotlight. Diana, I'll have you do the R counter, and we'll have Grammarian as Priyanka, you want to go or Arunima? Should I go with? I'll go with Arunima right now. Arunima, do you want to be a grammarian? Arunima, are you there? Priyanka, are you? Do you want to be a grammarian? All right, I'll take grammarian for now. Go ahead, Madhav. Give them a topic.
Unique. Marriage is no longer necessary. Marriage is no longer necessary. Unique.
Yeah, very close topic to me. Seeing that I have had major discussions with friends and family on this. So yeah, actually, marriage has its own merits and obviously demerits, as any married person will tell you. But in any case, I think it's totally depends on the personality of the person. So if you are speaking for everybody in general, no, marriage is not necessary for everyone. I don't think so. It depends on our personality. Actually, some of us do better in long-term relationships of marriage. Marriage is like the prime example of that. And some of us do better when we are actually not too much involved in a relationship. So it actually depends on where you are more emotionally feeling well. You should always take that situation. So if you are a person who feels that you do better in a long-term relationship, so absolutely you should go for marriage. And obviously the like the institution of marriage itself, the pure like the central uh, the central like the pathology of that is very true, that it's for like for a lifelong partnership, but it has got corrupted from our human influences, and there are a lot of malpractices in almost every society. I can name a few in Indian societies, but I think everybody from outside India would also relate that it's not the pure like the pure thing it was meant to be. So you need to be careful while navigating that also, that you are only like sticking to those points in the marriage which actually serve both of you, rather than going for the conformity and getting approval of your relationship from others. So it should be more like it's what's mutually beneficial for both of you. And if you don't want to get married, it's totally fine. I mean, it's totally fine. You can always find people who are like share common interest even outside a marital relationship. So you can always find people who are like you. That's like I'm a big believer in that. You can always, if you follow your own path, you'll always attract people who are similar to you, and you will make great bonds. So yeah, it's not in general for every human, it's not necessary. But if you do well in a marriage, you should totally go for it. Over to you, tabletop master.
Okay, let's start with the speech evaluator.
Kudos to our speaker here today, who covered a very controversial but a sensitive topic. Definitely, we all have our own views on how marriage should be, whether compulsory or up to every person. Well, what I really liked about the speaker's speech was that he added that personalized note right in the beginning, where he mentioned that this was a topic common to him. It was something that he had been having discussions over. This helps the audience understand that he is indeed well versed with the topic, and hence the audience might be even more engaged. One recommendation from my end was, where was the enthusiasm? I felt like there was a lack of energy in your speech. If this is indeed a topic that is very close to your heart, why weren't you talking more energetically? For example, when you were touching upon the malpractices that are involved in marriage, where was the examples? Where was the emotions? I truly believe that would have created a further impact in your speech. Thank you, and over to you.
Okay, Anahita, you did very well with the commendations. I thought that you got a tad aggressive in the recommendation. So when you went with where were the examples, where was this, you came across as if, like those bosses that we have in India. Where is the performance? Where is that report? Why don't I see this? Why am I not seeing this? So it comes across as that. A better way of saying it is that one thing that I found missing in your speech was the energy and the enthusiasm. For example, at this point, you could have said this with a greater, emphasis, and it would have added another dimension to your speech. The impact has happened. Going forward, I want to see some more energy because I want you to feel that topic. So that, in my view, would have been a better, commendation. So, Diana, if you could type out the R counters report, we move on to the grammarian. So unique. One thing that I liked in your speech was merits, demerits. You should ask a married person. So when you're giving a speech, these sort of rhyming words, they kind of tend to catch attention. Was almost like a triad. I love that. One place where I think we can improve is marriages are not the prime example. They are a prime example. And one of the speakers also said, where was the example? I would have gone with where were the examples. It's not wrong, but I would have gone with where were the examples. That's it from the grammarian side. Timer.
2 minutes, 30 seconds on the nose.
And okay, this is where I tend to, so as a timer, I tend not to comment on so I've also been guilty of this thing. I try not saying on the dot.
Mhm.
My favorite phrase was Anant tried to flirt with the timer once again. Dot 2 minutes 30 seconds. Okay, it's subjective whether we like it, whether we not like it. I've seen in US a lot of clubs do this, so I try to stay away from it. But I mean, the way you said it, it was genuine. It came across as genuine. It came across as sincere. So, great job once again. Are we ready for the next set of topics?
Yes, we are. Priyanka, would you like to go with the topic?
Yes, Madhav.
Great.
Okay, evaluator for Priyanka. Unique, you want to evaluate? Okay. Timer for Priyanka. Anyone? Kirtiraj, timer?
Yes, sure.
Okay, I'm just going to add Priyanka to spotlight. Diana, I'm going to keep you as the resident R counter. And who wants to be the grammarian? Madhav, I'll make you the grammarian. Okay, so we have our team ready. Priyanka is being spotlighted.
Okay, so we are ready with the topic. Priyanka, India has a fair tax system. India has a fair tax system. Priyanka.
Hello, everyone. I'm post-graduated in studies, but still I don't know how to file taxes. Even you could say still till now, my brother used to help me in filing the taxes. I would say I am naive enough that I didn't focus much on filing taxes. However, at some point of time, I found it irrelevant. Looking at the situation in India, looking at the roads, looking at the facilities provided, like public toilets or facilities which I usually use for traveling in trains, sometimes I feel like, okay, there's no point of doing this. However, just to save myself from income tax department of India, I request my brother, please help me in filing these taxes because I don't want to read all these rules and regulations and I don't want to do anything. I just want to save my money. So if you ask me that whether India has a fair income tax regulations, I wouldn't say yes, because being a youngster, being a young Indian, I'm not aware of where exactly the money is going. That's why I'm not even much interested in filing the taxes even. If things are quite clear, I would love to do that. And unlike other countries, like for example, Finland and other countries who take taxes, no doubt the taxes, now the percentage is very high. They help in education, they help in the health insurance, everything. I do not see that in India. So how about government make clarity, make it clear that how taxes is being consumed towards a beneficial benefit toward the society. People like me would love to come forward and help them in the taxes rather than saving my money and thinking that, okay, it's my money, it's my money. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Okay, speech evaluator.
Yeah, Priyanka, I think the first thing I noticed was your relaxed posture and way of speaking. You were not at all phased by the unknown topic that you were about to get and did get. So I think that's very appreciable that you were able to handle it calmly, and you were also able to directly go to a personal story and throughout. I mean, not just at the beginning, but throughout the speech, you were able to refer to personal stories and personal anecdotes to like connect with the topic. One thing, and I might be wrong here, I think that TTM could clarify it, but I think the topic was about, is the taxation system fair in the sense that is it like a proper percentage of taxes being calculated from everyone rather than how it is being used? Again, I might be wrong, but I think you diverted a little bit from the topic there. Though we don't necessarily have to answer the topic to the point, the what is being asked, we can always tinker along with it. But I think you diverted a little bit from what was actually the topic was. But again, the examples you used were very poignant and very like relatable. So kudos to you, and a great attempt in my opinion. Over to you. Uh, Upinder.
Okay, grammarian. Let's have the grammarian giving a report.
Yes. So Priyanka, you were not very aware about the topic, but you still could articulate your thoughts. You could put out your thoughts, and that's a great thing I could notice. Some recommendations could be, and you used fair income tax regulation, or regulation cannot be, we cannot say if the, and rather you could say the fair income tax system, to put it out simply. uh, Another thing that you said, how taxes are being consumed, it could have been said that how tax money is being utilized. And another the another recommendation that I would like to make is, if things are quite clear, you could say that if things were transparent. So yeah, these are the recommendation from my side. Thank you. Over to you, Rupinder.
Okay, one thing that we tend to do as grammarian or other role players is that we tend to become speech evaluators, and even I'm guilty of that. One day I actually, as a grammarian, I called out the timer because the timer was giving time in milliseconds as well, and I found that irritating, and I got a reprimand from the general evaluator saying that that's my role, so please let me do my role. We can take one last topic, and then I'll talk about general evaluation, how it should be done. So
Okay, Pallavi, would you like to go with the topic, or we can?
DTM Rupinder, the timer report.
oh yeah,
Sorry.
the timer report. Yes, Rituraj.
Yeah, thank you so much. Time is money, in line with your table topics, Toastmaster Priyanka. Well, Toastmaster Priyanka, you celebrated here in this table topics round for 2 minutes and blushed at the red rose after 3 seconds. Over, in total, you took 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Over to the topics master.
Okay, thank you. One last topic. Anyone who wants to take it?
Or we can go with you, Rupinder sir.
Okay. Who is going to evaluate me? Priyanka has raised her hand. Okay, so Rupinder and Priyanka. Priyanka, you were literally dancing when asked. Okay, timer or counter grammarian. Can anyone be a timer? Okay, you are our counter, Diana. You're doing a great job
The
as our
timer
counter.
is, I can share on the chat.
Who?
unique. I mean, I can be timer if I can share the cards on the chat.
Unique, I don't have the cards ready with me right now.
I can share in the chat window if that is.
Yeah, green, yellow, red works. And Grammarian, Ray, for the last time, try. Can you be my Grammarian?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, then Rupinder, law enforcement cameras are invasion of privacy. Law enforcement cameras are invasion of privacy, Rupinder.
I'm going to answer this in a different manner. Mark Zuckerberg said that if you want privacy, do not put it out there on social media for everyone to see. So our law enforcement cameras and invasion of privacy, they are if you are doing something wrong. If you're doing something right, they are not. They are there for your protection. Let us look at the flip side of using law enforcement cameras other than invasion of privacy. Statistics tell us that a lot of kidnapping cases have been resolved through the use of law enforcement cameras. They have been able to track vehicles as to where they went. Law enforcement cameras have also prevented theft in houses because the mere presence of a camera causes people with ill intent to take other action. So does it invade privacy? In a sense, yes. But if you are being sincere, if you are being the kind of citizen that you're supposed to be, then you should not have anything to fear. The challenge is that we live in a utopian world. We do not live in a utopian world. So at times it comes across as an invasion of privacy, but I think it is something that is necessary. To conclude, I'll just say that if we can put our life out there on social media, why can't we put our life in front of a law enforcement camera? Topics master. Evaluator.
Rupinder,
Yes.
I really like this. Shall I start?
Yes, start.
Yes, thank you. I found the speech structured. I found the points were very clear what you were talking about. Two recommendations which I have. First recommendation is the anecdote which you used at the starting. I wasn't able to relate it properly with the speech and the anecdote. So there we could work on. We could use if we are using some anecdote at the starting, we need to make sure that yes, I would be able to align my speech with the anecdote.
Okay.
Second, one of the you would either you will be for side or against side or both the sides, but you chose the for side of the law enforcement. However, in the middle, you went like yes, it takes out our privacy. When you say that, you wanted to give that yes, it is also bad, but I could not find anything to support your sentence. There you could work on. If you're saying something, don't just say. You have to give something, something. So, and at the last, you can make your conclusion a bit better because that one line that hindered your message.
Got it.
So that's it.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. You came in late. There's a structure, and I'll discuss the structure with you. I'm just going to share the PDF very soon, so you'll get to see what I'm talking about. I've already got the report from the timer and the R counter. Grammarian, can you give me a report, please?
With pleasure, Rupinder. I like that you have presented a lot of good information, but you also presented with few grammatical errors, but I found one. I thought I heard a little extra because in the middle of the presentation. Very, very subtle, but I found it. I also like some of your word choices, especially the word utopia. Very nice. I hope that you aim to make a good grammarian presentation better. Challenge us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you for being such a supportive audience today. Now, before I go, like I said, like I promised, I will share with you the URL to the document, and I will. But before I do that, as a general evaluator, some of the best, some of the advices that I got as a general evaluator. What I typically do as a general evaluator is that I use a general evaluation sheet, and I'm just trying to look for that. So what I've done is that for the general evaluation, I've collated a set of parameters. I marked them on 3, 2, and 1. I will share that sheet with you in a while. But essentially, it's about different roles. So for example, did the sergeant at arms open the meeting with enthusiasm? Did the sergeant at arms read out the club mission statement correctly? Did the sergeant at arms hand over to the presiding officer correctly? Similarly, for presiding officer, was the opening good? For the speech evaluators, were they encouraging? Now, each of them, I'll give a rating of 3, 2, or 1. 3 means it was flawless, no help was needed. 2 means that it was done, but some help was needed. Possibly somebody had to maybe unmute themselves and tell the audience that this was where you went wrong, or this is how it should be corrected. 1 means that it was not even taken care of. So what I do is that for every 3, I include it in my commendations. Anything that is not a 3, I give them a recommendation as a general evaluator. The one thing that I never do as a general evaluator is evaluate speakers. My reason for not evaluating speakers is that they already have dedicated speech evaluators, and it is not my place to correct my speech evaluators in front of the speaker. I might say that the speech evaluator could have also focused on the body language aspect, but I will never say to the speaker directly that Priyanka, as a speaker, I felt this is where you could have improved, because that would be undermining the speech evaluator. Another thing, if I choose to evaluate the speaker, then I should also choose to evaluate the speaker not just from a speech perspective, but also from a grammarian perspective, R counter, timer. And since I'm not doing that, since I've got dedicated roles for that, I don't think it is proper for me to actually evaluate the speakers as a general evaluator. And that was it from my side. As promised, I am sharing the link for evaluation. Here it is. I hope that this is helpful. Please do download it. Please do go through it. We've got about 25 minutes. We're just going to take 5 or 10 minutes of them. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them right now. And please, no feedback on the session. We'll come to that once Madhav takes the session over. Anyone, any questions around evaluation? No? Going once, going twice, and sold. Hope this session makes you better evaluators. And with that, I will spotlight and hand over to Madhav.
Thank you, Rupinder, for such a great session. I would certainly love to play a evaluator role as soon as possible and use the recommendations that you have given and use the ways that you have informed us with uh, to to make us good evaluators. Now, this brings us to the end of the meeting. Before that, we would be taking the feedbacks from our guests. Starting with Ray. Ray, would you please like to give us some feedback and some point where we could improve ourselves?
Let me see if I've learned a lesson from our esteemed teacher today. Observation. When I come to a Toastmasters meeting, whether as a guest or a regular member, I need to come prepared, and sometimes I need to be ready to step out of my comfort zone. I did both today, especially on being tested on being a timer, a speaker, evaluator, and a grammarian. My challenge was I'm going to need to make sure I download the Grammarian and I'll counter sheet from Toastmasters International, because I'll never know when I'm going to be called upon to be a grammarian. That is the weakest of my roles, but I appreciate being challenged on that and stepping out of the comfort zone. And that's the impact that we should all experience whenever we come to a Toastmasters meeting, because if we don't challenge ourselves to even dare to step out, how can we begin to improve ourselves as speakers, as leaders? Over to you.
Thank you, Ray. I think Rupinder must be very proud seeing someone implementing his whatever he has taught us, implementing right here. Now, I would like to go with Anahita. Anahita, would you like to give us some feedback?
Yes, sure. Firstly, I'm so glad I attended the evaluation module because I learned a lot, and I'll definitely be utilizing the tricks and tips that were provided today in the upcoming evaluation contest. And in fact, I'm giving an evaluation on Sunday in my club itself. So I will definitely be utilizing those tips. One more thing that I want to sort of confess, I've been a member for about 10 months now, and I have actually never played the timer's role until today. I'm confessing that. It's a very big confession, but I am so glad that I finally did it. And I'm so glad that I managed to learn so much more about the timer role as well. And I have the cards ready now, and now I will not be hesitant in taking up the timer's role in my club or any other club for that matter of fact. So this was a I'm glad that this meeting happened, and it's a blessing in disguise that I saw the message on the WhatsApp group and actually joined the meeting. So thank you so much for today's meeting. It was very, I really learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Anahita. And to talk about the timer role, when I first time, I always found the timer role to be very tough, and you had to do a lot of things while playing the role. And when I played it for the first time, I tried to share the screen and my laptop got hanged, and someone in the meeting had to take up the role then. And next time when I took the role up, I found it little bit I found I got comfortable with it, and now I think that I can play and I have been playing few roles together. And I think that one thing that timer role and playing different roles in a meeting has taught me is multitasking. And now I am very comfortable with multitasking, and I am confident that I can do a lot of things. I can manage meetings, and that's what Toastmaster and has taught me and helped me learning. Now, going with Kirti Raj for feedback.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Madhav. Grateful to distinguished Toastmaster Rupinder for such a fantastic evaluation module today. Reason being, I am gearing up for my division contest for evaluation stuff, and this was where I actually understood after the club, after the area thing, that what exactly commendation means, right? That was something which was the most enriching part for me, that a commendation should include an observation, an example, and then that impact related thing. So that is where I personally feel that Toastmasters is all about, where we get to help people grow. And if we as evaluators ourselves don't know how to actually help those speakers, maybe that's where it's the onus on our own shoulders whenever we take up the evaluator role, right? So thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Rupinder. Along with that, I also loved the way we all like impromptu transitioned into different roles. So that is where that dynamism or that proactiveness in any leader that comes out. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Up next, I would like to thank all the participants, because it is you all who helped the trainer to facilitate such a fantastic session. Thank you so much, and willing to be a part of such sessions in the near future. Over to Toastmaster Madhav.
Thank you, Kirtiraj. Now going with Diana. Diana, would you like to give us some feedback? While Diana writes her feedback, Pallavi. Pallavi, thank you, Diana. Thank you. Great to have you, Diana. Now, Pallavi, would you like to give us some feedback?
Yes, it's a great session, and it's a great learning for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Pallavi. So that brings us to the end of the meeting. It was great playing the role of presiding officer and table topic master today. Thank you everyone for participation. We have our meetings every Thursday, 7 p.m. Do join the next meeting. Looking forward to have all of you again. Now I would request Tech Master to close the recording and